So my good friends at STEELDIVEUK.com have come good again, and they've sent me this watch. Now, the way this works, just because YouTube policy, we've got to be very clear. You've seen the little tag pop up saying paid promotion. Effectively, this is paid because this watch I get to keep. I alternate with Steel Dive. I review one, send it back, and the next one I'll review and I get to keep. As a gift, I suppose, because we've got a good relationship and things are going well. I mean, you guys love watching these Steel Dive videos. I love the watches anyway. So that's how it works. So I said to Matt over at Steel Dive UK, I said, I used to own an Oris 65, and so I know what they feel like, what they look like, the proportions, all that kind of stuff. And I see Steel Dive do their own Oris 65 homage. So I said to him, you know what, I have experience with the real deal that this is paying homage to, so it makes total sense for me to take a look at this and see if it's got a little bit of the essence, a little bit of the feel of the Swiss made alternative. So let's delve deeper, take a look, and I'll show you, is it any good? So welcome to the review of the ST1965. Now this watch is paying extremely strong homage to the Oris Diver 65, and that is in its design. This is a skin diver style watch, and skin diver watches were very popular and they originated in the 1960s. The 62 Mass, for example, was one. There was the 50 Fathoms. Oris did theirs. Effectively, they're watches that weren't designed to go to huge depths. They had a slightly more slimline design. They had lower water resistance. They're a little bit more of an elegant dive watch. And that's why I was very interested in seeing Steel Dive's take on a skin diver, because we've seen their 62 Mass homage, and my main criticism of that one was, although all the fit and finish was fantastic and all the specs were wonderful, as they usually are with Steel Dive watches, it was way too thick, and it just felt a bit too top heavy and a bit chunky to be appropriate to be deemed a homage to a skin diver type watch. So I was definitely very keen on seeing this. So I spoke to Matt from Steel Dive UK and I said, Matt, I've had an Oris 65 before, not this exact design. I'll pop a picture up of the one I've had. You'll see pictures of that watch coming up occasionally throughout this review, because I had to sell that watch to help fund my my strap business. So check out the store if you want to see what kind of straps I've got. And I've put one of the straps on this watch already, because you'll see in a minute that I just don't like the standard strap. But I digress slightly, because I was interested in seeing if Steel Dive's take on what was one of my grail watches, the Oris 65, how well they've pulled it off for around £150. I mean, that is a huge difference in price. Obviously, because this is a Chinese made homage watch, how's it going to compare to a Swiss made watch? That's actually something I'm going to be thinking about a little bit. I've got my Oris off camera a bit to the left here. I'm going to show you in a little bit how it compares with the quality of the brushing on this timepiece here. So before I delve deeper into that, I'm going to start with just showing you what kind of packaging you get straight away, and the standard strap. So you get one of these little hard cases, very generic. They use these for a lot of different brands. I think they all come from the same factory, but they change the stickers out. But it's very good and sturdy and lined with foam. So those of you who don't like foam, beware, because my wife just can't stand the stuff. Anyway, this is the standard strap. I'll go into a little bit more detail, but it's really well packaged. You get a nice little tag, warranty card, and it's wrapped in plastic really well. It's very good. It's very sturdy. That's what you want when you're getting a watch and it's shipped over. So the good thing about buying again from Steel Dive UK, I'm just saying what I know, rather I'm not being paid to say what I'm saying. It's literally, I'm just laying down the facts so you know what to expect. What you get with Steel Dive is you get incredibly fast delivery, UK stock. You got customer service, which is extremely good, that you basically are going to get peace of mind when you're buying. He's selling a lot of watches because that is something I know you guys value. When you're buying a watch that originated from China, and if you bought it from China, the problem you're going to have is, if this, first of all, there could be a huge delay in it arriving. There can be import taxes, things like that. You don't want to be burdened then with, if there's a problem with it, what do you do? It's a long, drawn out, stressful process, buying from a different place which has already built into their business plan a support system for you, the customer, and still offer amazing prices. It's a winner. So that's why these watches are such amazing value. And they come as standard. This is a, just before I forget, this is the standard strap. Excuse my thumb, I'm such a clumsy carpenter, I'm always injuring myself. Anyway, yeah, you get very heavily branded up, very tough yet flexible rubber strap. Again, lots of branding, but the criticism is there's a zero taper on this strap. It's 20 mil all the way down, so it says 2020, but it's a light, tough and very comfortable strap. If you like the aesthetic of this, you will be very happy indeed. But I don't like the design personally, because I don't think it suits this specific watch, because this watch should be on a Tropic, because that is a strap that is the most popular and most attractive from this era. That's why this is one of my absolute top sellers. These just sell like hotcakes, these Tropics. I've sourced a really nice quality FKM rubber, fluoro rubber. Again, you can buy from me and you get it super quick, free delivery. That's the beauty of it. You just, again, this whole, we've done the research and found the best versions of what's out there, and people are loving these because they're so light and really well made. And again, it works well with the watch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the stats and the specs and the dimensions, all that stuff of the watch. Then we'll move on to taking a little bit of a closer look. I'm going to show you some outdoor shots so you don't just have it under studio lighting. And we'll finish with, again, likes, dislikes and a conclusion. So let's delve into the specs. So I've got some people that always like to assist me, not people, equipment. And Gibas is my most famous of all assistants. And he's going to tell us how much this lovely little watch weighs on a rubber strap. So it's less than 100, which is what you would expect for a watch, stainless steel watch on a rubber strap. So thank you, Gibas. Now we're going to do dimensions, and also going to include, to be helpful, how it compares with the 42mm Oris 65. So the case size on this is just under 42. That's the same as the Oris, because they do two sizes of Oris. They do a 40 and a 42. So I'm comparing this to the 42mm version. The lug to lug on the STEELDIVE is, let's get a really accurate reading, just over 50. That's exactly the same as the Oris. The crown, it's a nice size crown actually, 7mm. That's the same as the Oris. The thickness, excluding the crystal, 11.7. That's a tiny bit thicker than the Oris, and then including the crystal, 13.6. It's about 0.5 mil difference in size to the Oris, the 42mm case size version. I don't know the weight of the Oris, because they generally come in either a leather or steel bracelet, and you can get a rubber. You can even get them on a NATO. So there's lots of choices. So like for like, it's extremely similar when it comes to the dimensions. And then to help you guys out that like to know the dial size, it's got a really big dial size on this watch. It's lovely, 33. So that's a really good size. We've got a lovely slim bezel that goes around, and that's a ceramic bezel insert. So I'll move on to the spec now, because the standard insert on the Oris is aluminum or aluminium, and this is ceramic. The benefit of the STEELDIVE having ceramic is it's got a glossier finish which will last forever effectively. It won't ever degrade or deteriorate or scratch. That's the benefit. It's highly scratch resistant. But another cool feature is this is a loomed bezel. So when I move on to the loom a bit later on, you'll see that the insert is also loomed, which you don't get on the Oris. The loom on the dial as well, is on the indices and hands, is also extremely good. So the movement inside this is the ever popular, most commonly used Seiko NH35. Extremely popular movement for good reason. 41-hour power reserve. It's a 3 Hz frequency, so it's a relatively lower beat. It's not a high frequency like they do in the standard Oris, which is a high beat movement. This is going to be really reliable and keep good time. And when I invest in a time grapher machine, I'll be able to tell you every time I get one of these watches how accurate they really are. But in general, I've never had anything alarming with an NH35. But I know some people, when they buy a Swiss timepiece with the Sellita, which is what the Oris comes with, they can fluctuate quite a bit with their accuracy. My Oris is good. It's within COSC timekeeping, which is plus minus 4 seconds. It's really good. I've not had any issues with the timekeeping of my Oris, that's for sure. But the the movement is the big difference. You're paying for an entry-level movement in a watch like this, whereas the Oris, although not the most incredible movement in the world, the Sellita is still a high beat Swiss movement. Now what you get here is, you see it's a blue AR coating on this sort of box domed sapphire crystal. The reason why blue AR coating is often used instead of clear is apparently it's cheaper. So it's a luxury to have on a watch at this price point AR coating. So the compromise of having it is the fact it has a blue tinge. But in a way, it adds a splash of colour to a relatively monotone colourway, if you know what I mean. So it adds a bit of colour there. So that it says 200 meters, that's water resist. It's not a dive watch. It's not been pressure tested to my understanding, but this is a watch I would trust getting very wet, snorkeling, light water duties, if you know what I mean. It shouldn't be a problem. You've got all the appropriate gaskets and screw down crown, like I said, and screw case back with lots of nice detailing on the back. Very nice. It's a nice sunburst effect because everything's brushed on this watch, but I'll go into that a little bit with the finishing. Screw down crown, hand windings, first action, ghost date position, because this standard movement always has a date complication, and the last click is for the time adjust. It's very smooth. It's like just what you'd expect with a NH35 really. So push that back in, and then we screw the crown in. Lovely grippy crown actually. Now while we're here, you've got an idea of everything, what it's made of and the dimensions and things like that. Let's get a closer look of the fit and finish. Now the first thing I noticed about this watch was I've not seen brushing this good on a watch at this price point ever. It is that good. I don't want to be too gushing because people get all cynical and skeptical because I got this watch for free, but I'm going to back up what I'm saying with proof. See how smooth that brushing is, how uniform and straight it is. No imperfections, so you can see really close. Just look how neat that brushing is. I'll show you on the lugs. Look how perfectly straight and neat they are. This camera's good at picking out. Look how neat that is. And then even in there between the lugs. It's just so neat. Want to know what a £1,500 watch's brushing looks like? Let's have a look. See, very straight, very smooth. You're going to have some micro scratches in there because I've had this for a couple of years, but look at the brushing. On the other side. See, very uniform, very fine brushing. Oh, I do love this watch. Very nice. Let's go back to this. Look at that brushing. Honestly, that is extremely good. And then underneath, it's very neat with the circular brushing where they've finished the whole back of the watch. No sharp edges. See there? These are normally the spots you'd get little sharp bits, but you can just see there that it's been honed. These are the things that blow my mind when they've upped their game. I've reviewed a lot of steel dives. I've enjoyed the journey, and Steel Dive UK communicate a lot with Steel Dive directly and feedback a lot of things that I've gauged from my reviews and other reviewers, and they listen to what you guys say and what you value as customers, and they do their best to adapt and modify their fit and finish because they know that's the kind of thing we get really picky about. That is what makes this watch impressive. I'll go into a little bit more detail about that because this video is getting, bear in mind I haven't had this watch long. I could actually talk for a very long time about this little beauty. But before I get too carried away, let's take a pause and check out this beautiful watch out in some natural light. So as you can see, it's a pretty watch. It plays with the light really well. Even though it's a very dark watch, it's got a deep as the ocean black glossy dial, which is lovely. Normally they go for matte black a lot on their dials, but having gloss black is stunning. It really just pulls you in. It makes the watch feel deeper and richer. And I love this as well. Another thing on the dial, first of all, the indices, they are all a great size and they're huge. Especially the 12, 3, 6 and 9. Look at the 12, that's enormous. And everything lines up perfectly. The bezel, 120 click. It's got a good amount of resistance, no backplay, no rock, no bounce. And you can feel every individual click. There's no snotty bits, no bits where it feels like it's catching at all. Because you can sometimes get that on better value watches. As you're turning it, it feels like there's sometimes a bit of a snag and then it pops and feels loose again. That's just tiny little micro fragments that get stuck in the mechanism in there, and that's all part of the sort of quality control process when watches are made. But no, everything absolutely perfectly lines up. And this bezel has gorgeous knurling. Look at this beautiful machining on that. I'm only saying what I'm seeing here because some people are so hilarious when people watch my videos and go, oh, you're only saying all this positive stuff because you got it for free. And I'm like, I'm just saying what I'm seeing, guys. You're seeing the same thing as me. I can't really hide the truth. I can't really make up stuff when it's right in front of your eyes. And talking about eyes, let's dazzle them with some illumination. Another STEELDIVE trait is their exquisite loom. It lasts a long time. It's solid. It's beautiful. Look how well applied it is. Again, we'll get really close. Poorly applied loom can look grainy. This just looks absolutely crisp and clear, well applied. That's how I can justify that this is good loom. Not just the brightness and the longevity, but how well and neatly it's been applied. Look at even in the bezel, look how crisp that is. The quality speaks for itself with these, honestly. So I'm moving on now to my likes and my dislikes. I've pretty much said all my likes already. It really is, I would say it's a strong, faithful homage to the Oris. It's paying respectful tribute to its design without being a carbon copy because it's got its own unique attributes. It's got all the proportional aspects right with how Oris works so cleverly with. Like the length of the hands is perfect, all the indices are the right size, everything lines up as it should. It's such a clear, crisp, legible watch to enjoy wearing. And it's just every tactile aspect works so well. The screwing of the crown, the feel of all the knurling and all the way it's been machined, it's extremely well done. And I've shown you close-ups of everything in terms of the brushing is exquisite. And before this video just sounds like I'm literally saying it's the perfect watch, there are some criticisms, and they are as follows. The crown doesn't always thread in perfectly the first time. So what you have to do sometimes is, if you feel it cross-threading, like I just feel it there, you have to slightly back it off and then wind it in. So that's my first little thing I noticed. A second one that could do with a little bit of colour somewhere on here. I think the logo and the automatic 200 balances this watch absolutely beautifully. But you know what would look awesome? Red tip on the seconds hand and the word automatic in red as well, just to break up the very neutral colours of it. The standard strap I don't like, but as you can see, you can change that. It's an easy change, but many of you do like the standard strap, so it's down to personal taste. I love the brushing. I'm sorry, I've gone back to positive again. It's all brushed all over, but something just to help break up all that brushing would be maybe a little bit of detailing. Maybe just the top part of the lugs could have been polished. Somewhere there could have been a bit of polishing, but I like brushing. It really does help stop the watch being too glinty and glary and too dazzly. It's nice to have a watch that's heavily brushed, but that's my personal taste. I don't like the blue AR coating. I wouldn't mind it being clear, to be honest. And I'm missing the date complication in there, and what would be awesome if you could get the date wheel in there and have it in the same place that the 42mm had it, which was there at the 3 o'clock position. Cut the 3 o'clock index in half, have a date window, and they do an NH35 with a black date wheel. That would have been very good, and it still would have kept the balance fairly well with the watch, I think. So I do miss the date wheel in there. But other than that, this 20-minute video I feel has been thorough enough to say overall what to expect now with the modern steel dive watch, how they've evolved, how well they pay faithful homage and tribute to so many iconic timepieces that are, for many of us, well out of our financial reach. And this is an example of something that can give you a really good taste of the feel, the weight, and the overall look of a Swiss timepiece for only £150, give or take. What more could you ask for? And I've highlighted the negatives, but it's getting harder. Steel Dive are doing a really good job at developing their products to what you guys need. So this is only my opinions, guys. Remember that. Opinions are for everyone, and I really appreciate you listening to mine. You may not agree with all of them, and I totally appreciate that. And if there's anything you would like to see different about this watch, if any of my ideas you agree with, or any other cool ideas you got, let us know, because I'm sure Steel Dive wouldn't mind hearing about it, because they do listen, they do change, and then it ends up you can't resist spending your money on them. So thanks again to SteelDiveUK.com, and if you do like the look of this strap, these sell like hotcakes, because as you can see, for good reason. Check out my store again. All the links are in the description. Thanks so much for watching, guys. This has been a pleasure to make this video for you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye for now.